What's up, guys? What up? All right. We're back. Back at it again. It is really sunny out here, and I was trying to block some of the sun. So we'll see what happens. Thanks, Douglas. Hey, William. Hey. Fala, rapaziada. Fala, peace. Boa tarde. All right, guys. So today I'm just gonna start something new, and this is kind of like I mentioned on Instagram a little bit what was that all about? Because we've been starting some new models like every time we do a stream, and honestly, like when I do personal work, this is more for me, just to have some fun. So if I'm not feeling something, or if I don't want to work on something, I just start something new. Fala. A lot of people. Fala bona. A lot of people coming in. Hey, Mike. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, like I was saying, like it's always just to start something new for me, and usually to start something new is like in an hour or two I can get a good feeling of the sculpt, like how it's going. So if I don't like it, I'll shelve it. I'll put it in the shelf and start something else, and then come back after a while. Like I said, a lot of people ask like what kind of inspires me, what keeps me inspired, and that's mainly it. I've always done that. I've always just kind of start something, and if I'm feeling, I'll keep going. If I don't feel, I'll start something new. Thanks for the follow, Nacha. And kind of keep it interesting. And most likely, I'll come back and keep working on it. But I have a huge backup of files that I started, but I've just never finished. And that's kind of what keeps it interesting. If I see something and I'm like, oh man, today I'll love to kind of work on some Spider-Man stuff, and then I'll just go and I'll just start a Spider-Man sketch, and then if I like it, I'll just keep going. El Miedo, how long have you been working with 3D modeling? Dude, it's been maybe 15 years, 14, 15 years. I started when I was 17 to learn 3D. I'm 32 now. So, it's been a while. Hey, Infinite Zero Gaming, thanks, man. I'm glad you're here. So I'm just gonna pop open what we usually use, just a human base mesh. And today, what I would like to start doing is a Dr.Doom. I've been trying to do a Dr.Doom for a while, and today I'm gonna start. And if I like it, I'll keep working on it. And if I don't like it, then you'll see something else on the next stream. Thanks, Mars. Greetings, guys. I see a lot of familiar faces here, so I appreciate you guys showing up. There's like 149 people, and appreciate you guys. It's a holiday here in LA, in the US, and it's a holiday in Brazil as well. So that's a fun day to just relax. I just want to chill. for a little bit, and I'll try to keep up with the question, guys. But at some point, I'll just kind of focus here for a little bit. Thanks for the follow, everybody. And yeah, I was finishing up the bodybuilding sculpt, which is not here. It's on the other room. Mars. One day I'll do a stream on the production ready workflow for sure. That it's just a little. It takes longer, but I think if I grab a model and talk about it. Also, like I did a live with Andrew Ariza. If you guys go back on the episodes, like we talk about game production and game models and stuff, and we actually talked about some of the kind of production ready stuff. I mean, kind of like a weird setup here because the sun is like really bright, so it might get less of my face, but all right. So let me put some music here real quick. I need some sort of a beat, and this is the beat that we've been using. Just something. Thanks, man. Thanks. All right. So yeah, Doom, Dr.Doom. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the design. I'm not a big fan of what they've done with them on the movies. Hopefully, we'll get a good MCU version of this guy soon. So, I guess like starting here, guys. This is usually what we do. There you go. Have like a base mesh, and it's pretty simple. I could start from a cube or whatever, but this will save me time. And kind of people ask me like if you save time. If you've never done a human sculpt like anatomy, you should you should not use base meshes. But after a while, it's just more repetition, so I'll kind of save time using a base mesh. Let me show and see if I can share the reference. Let's see here. There you go. Can you guys see this? I bet you can't. Oh. So yeah, we kind of talked about. Oh wait. There you go. Let me know if you guys can see this. So yeah, we kind of talked about pure ref before, and pure ref. Let me see if this is gonna work. Is it all black? There you go. It was just updating the stream. So yeah, so we talked about kind of pure ref before, and this is the software that I use. And usually, I mean, I just started putting this together, so this is just a bunch of stuff I found online. There's nothing like major on here that I'm like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to do my own take on it, but I'll follow like some of these more classic. I think Andy Granoff did some cool stuff with this. I'll start just blocking out a classic version of what this could be, and usually, for pure ref stuff, I'll have like materials references also on the side. I'll have some more than just drawings, just because when I'm trying to finish, I'll have like some rendering references, and these are pretty good. So I'll kind of follow that, but I'll do my own take on it. I'll start just blocking out some of these classic ones, and I'll kind of do my own take on when I start kind of adding my own twist to some of these things. Cobra, for character modeling, which would you recommend for characters, Max or Maya? Whatever you feel more comfortable with. They both do the same thing. Maya is a little more industry standard, depending on if you go to games, but you just choose. I use Max for personal work, and at work I use Maya, so you can kind of just pick one. Let me see if I can lower this. There you go. So again, my setup, I have like a whack, a Cintiq here, and I'm actually gonna try to do a little higher this time. Oh yeah, man, Richard, the Conan. I haven't started on that yet, but again, it's just one more of like projects that I want to do. It's the never ending projects. Let me see here. Blender is not good for sculpting. No, I'll recommend you use something else. Ok, guys. Cara, o donate, Aristóteles, eu não tô interessado em donate, mas eu agradeço a intenção. What's up, Dimitri? Why do I ignore you? I didn't see your question. Send it again. What's up, Jordan? Blender is okay. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not like if you want to work in the industry, you should be using ZBrush or something. Blender, maybe one day will get up to speed on the tools and brushes and speed and I'm talking more about digital sculpting. Don't get me wrong. There's people who work with Blender, but it's not ready yet. Everyone's saying that the studio used beige mesh for game characters. Then why is it that important to have big anatomies? Are you kidding me, dude? Is this your question? No, you can use base meshes in the studio, but that doesn't mean anything. Like you need to be able to sculpt some. You need to be able to know anatomy. That's pretty dumb. It doesn't make sense. Coral Media, Raf, would you recommend a workshop like CG Master Academy to learn how to make video game ready for hair for games? Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like all the information is available online, so you don't need to do like a workshop or a class or anything. You just have to try it and do it. To be honest, but if you need someone to kind of guide you through the process, then that's a good idea to get a course, but you don't need it. Not like a must-have, but you if you can afford it and you like the methodology of like teaching and stuff, then yeah, you could probably good for you. I do use perspective button when I want to sculpt the perspective. I turn it on. When I want to use orthographic, I'll turn it off. I don't know why the question, but I do use perspective button. You guys are funny. I recently downloaded Blender to try to introduce myself to 3D sculpting. Is there another program that I'll recommend? Blender, ZBrush, Uh, you'd be good at doing with Blender and ZBrush, to be honest. But if you want to grab another software like Maya or 3ds Max, because these are more like base softwares like Blender, but a little more industry standard, then you should be pretty good. Yeah, this the stream will be in English, guys, and I know like I really appreciate you guys, asking questions in English, even the os BR, just so we could keep it more, you know, accessible for everybody. Have you hired anyone without an art school formal degree? Yes, everybody. We never ask if people have a degree or not. It's just more about the portfolio. Everybody, or it's not a requirement. All right, guys, I'm gonna start sculpting some stuff. Uh, let's see how many people we have on the stream. Nice. All right. Let me start by kind of messing with some of the shapes, and I'll duplicate this head because I want to keep this head here accessible. And I mean, this is not so much. I'm not gonna teach all the everything here, guys, because obviously it's a long ass process, and I can't really do everything on stream. But I'll try to share as much as I can. And then yeah, Q&A. I saw your question now. Q&A with the chat. Yes, I mean all these are kind of Q&A with the chat, but it's just hard to keep up with the questions, So we'll try. We'll keep trying. I need some. I need some mods. All right, guys. Or maybe we just do Q&A. Just fuck it. We just. Uh, all right. I'll just answer this one while sculpt because it's a good one. What should a beginner sculpt first? So this is a good question because um, we always talk about anatomy, right? And anatomy is definitely one of the main things. But I'll recommend you guys try to replicate some stuff. And if you go back in time when people were starting, like 15 years ago, you always try to kind of start small with something like easy to replicate. So you do like a mouse, like something like this. You would do like a microphone, simple stuff, because when you do like poly modeling, you need to simplify it. So even if you start with ZBrush, I'll still recommend you guys trying to replicate some simple props and stuff to then move up to like skulls. And skulls are probably the best thing that you should sculpt, that you should practice, because like you learn, it's almost like a prop, but there's a little more anatomy involved, but you still trying to copy. There's hard edges and stuff. Like it is a very good exercise. I actually like bought a bunch of skulls and I studied them, replicate them. You can get like you can buy skulls online, like from animals and stuff. They're pretty neat that you can get. I was gonna grab him, but my dog is sleeping right here. Let's see if I can get it on camera. But I have some like I've got some skulls like behind the pup. All right, I'll grab it in a second. So kind of same things that we've done before. I'm using Dynamesh and I'm using like simple brushes to kind of start to get the shape. This is actually like a pretty easy project, I think. I think we can come up with some pretty dope. And like I said before, on some other projects, yeah, it's a golden. It's a gold. She. It's a she. Uh, so, like I said, on other projects, like usually for fan art stuff like this, or kind of trying to do my own take on designs, I'll kind of start with try to mimic the same shape as some of the in the comics, like the classic. And then as I'm doing, I'm like looking at things and identifying things that I think it's cool, that I'll kind of force it into one way or another, and I'll start adding like my own twist to some of these things, you know. Yeah, I mean, sorry, rap for you it's easy, obviously. I mean, it's not. You're not easy for me. I mean, in a way of like design, like it's a little more simple because it's just more execution. Like if I'm trying to design something from scratch without reference, without concept, it's a little you know, it's a little. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's the same thing in paper. Sometimes you know, you have a successful design, sometimes not as much. So you just got to get used to trying and failing and starting over. So that's the thing that I wanted to talk about, right? You guys see me starting something and just moving on to something else. Like sometimes you're successful on your design, your choices. Sometimes not as much, but the important the important thing here, important lesson that you can get out of this is that you should always just be trying and having fun and pushing and starting something new and you know learning something new. Like even if you're just not sculpting a full character, you can maybe learn a new tool, maybe learn something new, and it's also you know a good use of your time. Okay, so early on, I always kind of like to throw some colors, start visualizing things. Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for the help on the chat. If people are asking questions that we've talked about, I know there's a lot of new people coming in. I appreciate you guys supporting the chat and acting as like temp mods. I'm gonna need to open up some mods to help me out. This is gonna be it's getting harder and harder. I don't want you guys to be frustrated as well. It's not that I'm not answering questions. It's just I can't really multitask like that. Hopefully, there's enough opportunities that we can talk. And I'll keep doing pauses during the sculpt here and to talk to you guys. Salve, maluco. I mean, so quickly you can get you know an idea of what we're doing and where it's going with the shapes. And of course, like you know, one of the major steps here is how we clean this up. And we've talked about this before on the streams, but hopefully we'll get to that part on this one. Let me save this. ZBrush is. All right. I feel that I need to get my Cintiq on this side so I can look at the chat a little easier. It's a little hard to keep up. Let's see here. quick pause. So let's see. There's some questions here. Mm. How do you? Can you show us how to make hard surface pads like some of the other? It's all masking and extracting. I'll show you guys. There's some pads on this, some armors on these ones that I can show you. All right. So this is one cool, really cool piece that I've loved since a really long time. I'm not sure exactly who made it, but it's this one concept of Doom, like looking at the mirror, that I've always thought was really dope, and has a little bit of like a medieval, a little bit more of a medieval uh, influence on the design. That to me, I was like, it was always like, that's Doctor Doom for me. And I think they try to do a little bit of that on the movies and stuff, but they kind of turned into a little bit more of a little more sci-fi, which is, I understand why they did it, but I really hope we see almost like a Man in the Mask take on it if MCU ever does, bring him to the big screen again. I almost imagine this guy that collects or really like that style, and then when he gets all messed up, that's where he goes for to make his armor. So you see, one of the things that I do is I always try to get like all the main shapes in there. Let me turn the camera a little bit more. There you go. Kind of try to throw all the shapes in there, and then I'll come back and massage the proportions and stuff. Just to not waste a lot of time. It's good for me to design like that because I can kind of get an idea of what the shapes are, and then it's easy for me to change it, make changes. Okay, so push more of the brows now that we have the shape. Salve, rapaziada. Yeah, guys, just to remind you guys, I'll do a stream in Portuguese sometime soon, but I want to be very clear when I do it in Portuguese, just so there's not a lot of people, English speakers, that are here when I do it. So send the questions in English. I'll try to focus more in English today. I really want to do an actual statue project of one of like these kind of superheroes. Like maybe this will be the one. I always say that, but probably the next one I'm doing is a predator. I collect predator statues. I have 2, 3, 4. I have five predator statues, and I've always wanted to do one um, myself, and I think I'm ready to pull it off. Let me see here, Chris. Appreciate it, man. Man, you're the man. So I will answer this one because what are we talking about here? Rendering and texturing. Can't find the exact question by Eric, but based on Chris was saying, yeah, texturing. I do most of my textures in ZBrush, poly paints and textures and alphas and all that, and then I render in ZBrush as well, and I'll render in uh, I'll render in 3ds Max. Let me show you guys this real quick. I don't think I've ever showed you guys. Wait a minute. Okay. So if you guys go in here, characterartworkshop.com. Let me pause this song real quick. If you guys go in here, if you don't know this yet, characterartworkshop.com, and there's a bunch of tutorials for anatomy, female. There's a full-on design class like sculpting ZBrush, and I go through my rendering in ZBrush as well on this one. This is 3D printing stuff you guys can watch. I'm kind of talking about the process, 3D printing. This one I talk about doing hair in ZBrush and rendering ZBrush and all that. This is like, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen this one, just anatomy, design and anatomy, going like step by step. This one's a little outdated, to be honest, but I think it's still pretty complete. So make sure you guys kind of check that out too. So yeah, if you haven't seen this yet, I recommend it. It's pretty cheap. There's some pretty cheap ones here, especially the anatomy and design, and you can get this separate. I also show like rendering ZBrush and all that, so you can kind of see like how I compose my materials and create the renders and all that. So check that out. Check it out. Let me go back here to ZBrush. And I appreciate you guys all the support on that. I'm working on some new ones. I want to do something that's a little more of a beginner, that to show like kind of the beginning or the kind of the beginner stages in ZBrush and all that. The brushes, talking about first things that you should sculpt, all the things that questions I usually get asked. So I'm working on that. Hopefully, I will have that ready soon. All right. Back to our boy Doom here. Let me get his nose come through. This is kind of the to me, the fun part of the process here. And I appreciate you guys subscribing too, or not subscribing. I guess subscribing. Giving the follow here. But yeah, to me, this is kind of the more fun part of the process. Just sketching out the shape, getting something that feels right, and just having fun with Dynamesh and stuff. Because after that, it's a lot of cleanup work, and it's still fun because you kind of see it comes to life. But this is where the magic happens. This is where you kind of define where the character is going to be, or what the character is going to be. Keep going here. Raph, what would you say are your primary goals as an art director? Would you say that focus on trying to convey designs that are more cinematic? Not really. I don't know exactly like how do you describe it, because like I'm basically involved on all the process, and there's the part of like approving designs and working with designs with the VizDev crew, and they're amazing. The entire group is amazing, so it's just very good to work with those guys. But then after the design is done, then I'm talking to departments, I'm executing on the vision, like giving feedback and stuff. And so there's like both, I work on the VizDev side of things with those guys, but there's also the kind of day-to-day with the team and execution. So it's a very broad question. You know, making a game. There's a lot of things that needs to happen. You guys can see like all this stuff is pretty loose, pretty bad. Like even his face here doesn't pretty much doesn't exist. I just need the eyes, and I'll sculpt like better eyes. This is not important right now. And that's another thing that I usually mention is that you can spend a lot of time just making the eyes look good, but that's not the goal. The goal is to make it just look at the design, and you can spend like a day on the eyes, and I probably will at some point, but right now just worrying about the design, making sure it feels good. All right, so then I'm gonna get, you know, for the sake of the stream, we'll make him look more like Dr. Doom, because the mask is not ready yet, and I can spend a lot of time on that. But let me get some of the base, some of the rest of the costume here. So I'm gonna extract a little hoodie. Now now you know who it is. No mistaking. We get the green hoodie on the person's head. There's only a few options, and then you give them a metal mask, and you know exactly who it is. Okay, so iconic, man. I love it. See here, Raf, beside games, do you ever work in film? I've done stuff for movies before, but but I didn't like it very much. I never worked on like full time in a studio. I've always done um, like freelance work, and it was fun, but it was very kind of detached from the process. You just kind of build the model, and that's it. So it wasn't really like satisfying because I wasn't involved. Like maybe honestly, I don't have interested of moving outside of games because I love working for games. So I'm not really like planning on a career change at any point. But I'm sure if you work for like a big studio and stuff, it's different deal. And I've done like a big part of my career. I worked for advertising in studios, inside studios, so I have a good idea of the process and whatnot. But it's not my thing. Just start working for games, honestly, man. Like the people who actually experience working in a game in our industry, it's very hard for them to go do something else, because it's such a creative process, honestly, and you're so like deeply involved in the project that is a very satisfying experience as a creative person, because you're kind of like creating on the spot, different in the movie where it's more about execution and creating shots for studios and directors and whatnot. You're making a game is like you feel that you're making that you know yourself with the rest of the team, of course. But that's pretty fun. is starting to look cool. Again, this is only kind of primary shapes. You can kind of see like taking shape here. Let me get let's keep going down. Let's keep like rendering this stuff. Hey, Enrique, how many characters did you make from the space mesh? Thanks, dude. It's good to see you here. Too many. Maybe like in the getting close to the hundreds. Maybe I've made a lot of characters, and you guys see me do like a couple characters, like even on my kind of personal work. I've been doing a lot more recently, but I've been doing that nonstop, like professionally, for the past 15 years. So I've made well over 100 characters, but with this base mesh is probably 5 years old. So maybe close to 100. Funny question. All right. A little bit of detail here. What's up, Della? Yo, Fool, are you still at home, Fool? You want to pop in here? We can chat. I'll send you a link. Or if you're in the road, then never mind. But we know I got a link. Ella's been doing. Ella is the lead concept artist at the studio, and he's been doing lives on his Instagram. If you guys don't follow that, that is awesome. So just ton of knowledge and just dropping some knowledge. So you guys go check that out. All right, so this is the kind of stuff that I want to avoid. Like now, I'm just like really polishing it up, and I don't want to do that. I want to move away from it and just get everything blocked out. I can spend a long time just doing that. So we're gonna move forward, and we're gonna do some of the a little bit of the body. And yes, we're gonna talk about some clothing stuff too. I know I saw the question about like, oh, can you kind of show how to make folds and stuff? And yeah, there's tons of folds and clothing on this guy. So it's definitely a good subject for us to talk about that. Yo, Shishi, shut up, dude. I'm putting time out. Don't Della's not on the stream. I'm trying to get Della on the stream. I know he's traveling on the holiday, so I don't know if he's actually at home. So let me check. Let me ask him. I don't know about Discords, man. I don't use Discords. I wish I had like a channel here for the group, but I'm not really used to Discords. As you can see, I'm very outdated in this interwebs. So first I'll try to I'm gonna try to remove this guy. Like even like Twitch, I wish I had a like a Twitch or being able to like stream this on Twitch as well, but then it's just too much to like keep track of, and I'll keep trying, step at a time. But again, it's just I'm just trying to keep it interesting. Like even some people were saying like, where's like the donate button and the super chat or whatever the kids are doing these days. I'm really not interested about on that. Like if I ever do something like that, it will be just to, kind of raise money to do giveaways and stuff like that. I'm not interested on monetizing on any of this stuff. This is just more for me to have some fun and like keep it interesting. Yeah, honestly, like I saw a question. Yeah, Z, are you planning to do a tutorial where you use Arnold to render your project? Thanks, bud. Yeah, honestly, there's no real secrets. Like you just have to pop it up and do it because Arnold, it is very simple to use, and you can get it in there. Like I don't have any like fancy setups or anything. That's why I don't actually do it because it's first of all it's just very hard to do a video with rendering because the computer just like really cries on on the with the power and stuff. But there's not a lot of secret. I think renders these days are getting so advanced, so easy to use that honestly you could get it in there and just hit render. A lot of the things honestly you guys just have to like get your hands dirty and do it because like I can talk for a long time, and that's why I keep sharing more of these kind of creative steps because I think is the hard part to do because a lot of things you guys just have to get in there and try it yourself and spend the time making mistakes, and that's how you perfection the craft because the tool itself is so simple. Like even here you'll see like me using ZBrush is it's not complicated. It's the same thing with Photoshop. It's just not complicated, but until you get it in there and you start making stuff and you start failing and you start understanding like where you should improve, and it's more about the craft and how you get better at design sense and um, that kind of stuff because the tool itself is simple. Like you guys use Photoshop, right? And you know how simple that you of course you can get very complicated with it, but make like a concept art, it's more about your knowledge on painting, your knowledge on design and composition and all that. And it's the same thing with 3D. Um, the tool itself is definitely important, but you guys have to get in there and do it. Yes, it is possible to customize. I mean, not this one. This one is not possible. All the other ones, yes. Okay. This is going to be a fun one. I could see it. This project is going to be cool. I don't use Substance for personal projects. I'm doing everything with like poly paints and stuff. All right, I'm gonna get a cape here. So the way I do that, I'll just kind of mask it, the shape of it, something like that. and then I'll kind of extract like that, and then I'm gonna pull down the rest of it. Look at that. Check it out. Check it out. And there you go. You got like a little cape. And I'm gonna keep using a very low resolution here because I don't want to start getting like a bunch of overlaps, and I want to be able to just very simple move the cape around without creating a lot of penetrations and bad geo. Do something like that. Are any of your projects retopologized? Yes, all of them. I don't know why you guys get the idea that I don't retopologize stuff. All right. And then he's got two buttons here. And then we'll get those here. This is very much like we call it, kind of a gray meshing, of just getting the simple shapes that represent the design. And then from here we can start detailing, designing, but just getting the main shapes is the more important. Alex, is topology overrated? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing with me? No, topology is not overrated. Topology is like one of the most important things, in game development and in any like CG development. Like you need good topology. You need good topology to do UVs. You need to get good topology to do textures. You need good topology to do skinning. So yes, topology is not overrated. It's one of the most important things that you need to learn when you're starting. Don't hurt my heart like that. That's one of the problems with internet is amazing, but I'm glad we're doing this. I'm gonna put my pen down. I'm glad we're doing this because uh, we need a good foundation. Like if you guys are just trying to do ZBrushing and sculpting and all that, and not worrying about the basics and the foundational stuff, like topology is one of the key aspects of 3D. So that will never go away. That's why even when you see the Unreal presentations with like crazy amount of topology that goes into games or whatever, but that doesn't really work for character art because you need good topology, or even environment art. Like you need, but mostly for character art that you're gonna be rigging stuff. You need a very very good topology that you can do proper skinny on and have a good base. So make sure you guys learn the foundation for poly by poly modeling. If you go like learn how to model in like Max, Maya, or Blender, and then jump into ZBrush. ZBrush is mostly for high res and sketching out, and then quickly like sculpting stuff. But everything else is built on these other softwares. What's up, Jeff? Dude, long time. I know. I used to have dreadlocks when I met Jeff. Jeff Simpson, by the way, is like amazing, amazing concept guy. I'm sure you guys know his work. And yes, time for a comeback. I don't think so, dude. I'm getting too old for that shit. Dude, it's good to see you, buddy. We tried to work together a long time ago. It didn't work out, but hopefully it will happen at some point again. Yes, I am going to invite Alvaro. Cheers, buddy. Thanks, Jeff. So I'm going to go back here and just kind of refine it a little bit more. I'll kind of worry about the body at some other time. But basically, we're going to be giving him like the armor, kind of the classic armor. You know, some kind of medieval armor jam. Give him like the big armor stuff. Should be fun. I'm definitely gonna try to do more of a statue for this if it turns out the way I want it to be. I always want to do a Dr.Doom statue, so cool. I do know how to draw, yes. I'm not the greatest though. Definitely not to the same level as 3D. But I did do a video on the channel about drawing. You guys check it out. And hit the follow the subscription button, guys. I always appreciate it. I never thought I would say that, but I want to make sure you guys are. I've been getting a lot of messages on Instagram being like, do give me a heads up ahead of time or whatever. And I it's just hard to keep track to know exactly when I'm going to be doing these. So at least YouTube will notify you when there's like a new video and stuff, new stream, or the videos get saved. So make sure you are following the channel, or don't harass me later. All right. Here, a little cloth piece. Something like that. Something like this. Also, like my videos on YouTube, they're not like monetizing. If you guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but if you've seen advertising on them, then let me know because YouTube is trying to make money on the videos because I am not monetizing any of this stuff. Again, I'm not doing this because of the monetization. That's why I don't want to have donations or super chat or whatever. This is just more for have a space. I want to have a space to share more stuff. This is a hard format to do like on Instagram, but here on YouTube it works. And then maybe I'll kind of look into Twitch as well. What's the best uh, 3D resin printer for started? Ender 3 and Photon. You can get, both of them goes from like 300 to 400. It's crazy just to think about like how cheap those printers are. They're very good. I know it will most likely be all together. I'm really not looking to do like a removable, but maybe that'll be cool. I don't know. I can try that. Do like a removable mask. That could be pretty fun. But I'm not thinking about that right now. Benesha. Would you ever consider do a sculpt over on one of the viewers' 2D models? That I actually thought about that. I think that's a great idea. We can actually learn a lot by doing that. So I'll definitely look into it. I'll open maybe a kind of a way for me to see some models from people who like that kind of feedback. So yes, expect something like that. That'd be awesome. What else you guys like to see on the channel? That's a good. I think that's a good subject for us to talk about. That's a great idea, and yes, I thought about that. If there's any other things you guys would like to see beside, the rendering things that you already mentioned, that I'll try to do it. Yo, Justin, what's up, buddy? So the junior question, like, yes, a lot of studios hire juniors. We do have, I wouldn't call them juniors, but like maybe more younger people like that we hire. But you need to have a good portfolio, like even for a junior, like the junior, like I don't know, I wouldn't call them juniors, but the juniors that we hire are already pretty good. Just because the kind of the culture of the studio, like we don't have a lot of you know interns on the art side. There's a lot of internships for other departments, just because there is a number of internships that we could get. Wait a second. Yep, never mind. I thought the stream was frozen, but yeah, there's a number of internships that the studio can get, and usually departments that need more help will use those internships. So you get more internships on the animation side, on the coding side, design sometimes, but art doesn't get a lot of that. Your goal is to have 100 to 200 pieces of my portfolio as a start. So you will fail. That's not. You should have two. You should have two good ones. The poly count doesn't matter. I'm not gonna show it. You shouldn't worry about that. This is all very low res. Look at that. Not. Don't worry about poly counts. So let me split this up. Get out of here. Autosave. It's fucking autosave. One thing that I mentioned before on the streams, I keep the hands separate. You see here, they're kind of they're a separate model because I want to be able to dynamesh things together, or separate. I mean, without losing the fingers and stuff. That's one of the things I do on my base mesh. Let me focus more on the face here. I have a lot of time. We can kind of see how I kind of like quickly can sketch out the face. And from here, I'm gonna start splitting meshes. Same thing we did in the body and the head and all that. I can kind of split meshes, go a little deeper into the amount of objects that I have in the scene. Then I can start refining it, you know. I'm gonna answer some questions, guys. Today's been a pretty good stream, honestly. You guys are being pretty positive with the questions, so appreciate it. Yes, I do paint some of the models. I use airbrushing with acrylics, and it's pretty fun. There's some videos on my Instagram if you want to check it out. We talked about the references on the beginning of the stream. So after we're done here, go back and watch that. Yeah, folds, guys. So I know we kind of asked some of the questions about folds. So I usually try to think about the tension points and how the fabric will flow, right? So if you think about there's a tension point coming from the back, then the folds are coming down, that kind of stuff. And really think about like real life, how things will behave. And I'm using just a standard brush here. And you can kind of see I can create some interesting folds. ZBrush has a new kind of fold brush that is interesting, but I'm not really into it, at least right now. So this is kind of like thinking about tension points, and I've done enough folds where I don't need a lot of reference at this point, but references are always good. I've come up with some pretty interesting kind of flow, and you have to like watch out for overlaps. Like folds don't usually overlap. They just kind of push each other. So that's the kind of thing that you have to watch out. Like I see people were starting where the fold wouldn't make a lot of sense. We just gotta watch out for that. I'll probably have like a cape going over here, like something like this. This side of the cape will come over from this side. I'm not gonna worry too much about the folds. Probably do like something like that. Something like that. So should be fun. So the final shot will be kind of like looking this way. So then this right here, probably want to extract like an extra piece. And all these pieces I'm doing is separate, but at the end, I'll just kind of all I'll combine all of them. Like even this cape with the back one, because this is a simple geo and I'm using Dynamesh, I'll combine all of them together. I do something like that. And the chains. Let's save this. So I'm not looking at the questions right now, guys, but I'll look in a second. So I'm gonna grab a ring. I'm just gonna pull this ring. That. Just ZBrush this guy. Something like that. You just kind of inflate just a little bit. Bring this over. Yeah. This way. This way. Real quickly, just bend this a little bit. And there's multiple different ways to do this. I've just been doing this for a long time and found my ways to doing this the way I feel more comfortable with. But again, there's other ways to do this kind of stuff. Let me increase the resolution of this a little bit. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of folds, a lot of clothing in this. It should be fun. The main design is mostly the mask and the arm, and then the belt as well. Then on the legs and stuff, we could do more fabric to kind of cover it up. It should be pretty fun too. I really like sculpting folds and stuff. We'll do like a nice belt design. Should be good. And then, yeah, of course, the legs with the armor. Yeah, I'm definitely printing this one. I'll spend a little more time like making it perfect. I want to kind of add kind of like a new twist to the design, and it should be pretty good. Like right now, I'm not designing too much, to be honest. I'm just trying to get all the pieces in there. Um, but when this is in a good spot, it's just a matter of adding adding some cool like design elements that we haven't seen before. Let me get to some questions because we're about to reach the. It's almost 4 p.m. here. I don't want to stop at like an hour and a half. So let me talk to you guys. There's like 600 people on the watching, which is awesome. Awesome. What's your tablet? I have a Cintiq 22 HD. Wouldn't it be easier to simulate the cloak? So that's an interesting question because no, yes or no. I think this is more about like how comfortable you are with sculpting stuff because usually some and I know a lot of artists that like to simulate stuff and you usually get a good simulation, but then you have to clean it up, sculpt on top or whatever. And to me, um, I get into a lot quicker design when I'm just sculpting from scratch. So so yeah, yes and no. I think it's just more about what you're comfortable with. I do not like marvelous, so I prefer to sculpt stuff. Yeah, I mean sculpting clothes is it's definitely practice. So the yeah to print the cape, I'll probably make it somewhat that's like following the arm, so has a good support, and then there's only like an extra piece that comes off. Like there's a lot of statues that have printed capes, and I've done a few of them, so this should be good as long as you have enough supports and enough thickness and all that. There is a part of the 3D sketching tutorial that I did has a really good section of that. At least I think it's really good. Section of that I talk about sculpting folds. That you guys should check it out if you haven't yet. I'll go through like talking about looking at reference, like what brushes do I use, what kind of things you should be looking for. Here, let me pop it open so you guys can see. One sec. You guys see that? So this the 3D sketching one. There's a good section there that I talk about sculpting clothes and stuff. It is over here that I talk about like looking at the reference, like what am I looking for, contact points and all that stuff that we just talked about, how to kind of analyze the reference, and then like how to sculpt, like where brushes do I use to sculpt folds and like stuff like this, like looking at the volume and how things are, you know, how things should work. And then yeah, doing more of that and kind of see like contact points and all that, and then going into the brushes and how to mimic the folds. So check it out if you guys haven't watched it yet. And yeah, I do recommend you guys learning Marvelous and other other softwares like that. It's just not it shouldn't be your main tool. Like you need to know how to sculpt things. if you want to work as a character artist, like you need to learn how to sculpt things. Like you can save time by using Marvelous, but um, you won't use that in a production as like a one-off tool. Marvelous with ZBrush is definitely kind of the way to go. Victor is asking, do you think it's a problem to have real-time characters and another ones for collectibles at the same time in my portfolio? Yeah, yeah. Character being a character artist, you can work on so many different um, projects, you know. So yeah, you should definitely try it out. Have both. You know, it's always good to learn. I know all of them. I worked with all of them, so it's definitely I definitely recommend. Thanks for the follow, dude. I definitely recommend you guys having different projects, and then when you find something you really like, then I think you just need to double down. And Houdini, I think Houdini is awesome, and I think is definitely part of the future for 3D in general, but not as much for character artists. Like a lot of people talk about technology changing the artist's role, and like scans, for example, and like photogrammetry and whatever, and all those things help. But it's just like the quality also goes up when you have that. So it never really replaces anything, and you have to learn new tools. Like Houdini, for example, character is you don't have to really double down on Houdini. But if you're an environment artist or an effects artist, then Houdini is like a game changer, right? Yeah. So this age question, Andres, um, you should never worry about age. To be honest, I think age could be an impact if people have a lot of responsibilities, a family or whatever. So there's always a question that comes to mind if it's like this guy have can he actually afford to be a junior? Can he make not make a the amount of money that you would need? So that's the question that comes more to mind, not so much age. Age is doesn't matter. So do I render in Marmoset instead of Arnold? I've used Marmoset a lot, and I think Marmoset is awesome, but you need a cleaner topology and proper textures and all that to use Marmoset. So yeah, if you have that, if you're kind of working on a game model, Marmoset is the way to go. ZBrush screensaver. Who had that idea? What are some misconceptions people have about the game industry? What's something you were surprised to learn once you started working? I guess the amount of oops, dropped the pen. I guess the amount of work. Let me grab this for a second. The amount of work that goes into making a game. Like a lot of people, especially when you're starting and you see someone doing like this, like what we're doing today, people get the impression that this is, you know, all that the job is, and not really. I mean, there's a lot of things that you do in the game studio that nobody sees. That even when people are kind of freelancing remotely to creating characters for a studio, you don't have an idea of all the work that's being done inside the studio to make the game. You know, it's one thing just to do um, the character and be done. It's another thing to actually make the game. So that's a big misconception from the art side that people have. They think it's just making characters, but it's not. You have to do, have to collaborate with different departments. Talk to combat rigging, be on top of like outsourcing. Play the game, go on syncs, and it's a big collaboration that people don't realize. So that's a good question. Thank you. How much time is spent on a game character in the studio? We've talked about this before because it is a question that I think people have, and it definitely varies in studio to studio. If you just think about a time to make a character, in general, you would need um, at least a month to 2 months to do a high res, depending on the complexity of the character. And then you would do like a retopologize and textures and all that. That's probably another 2 to 3 weeks. So it's a good like from a month to 3 months. And depending on if it's a boss or a main character, and if the character has a face scan and blend shapes, and it could take up to a year to do a character. Do you think Unreal will dominate all rendering markets, including the advertising and cinematography market? Maybe. Who knows? There's definitely, it's easier and easier to use that, and the quality is getting better. There's some bigger studios that tried already, and we didn't succeed. Uh, but maybe. Have you ever changed something in the design of a character due to some technical or programming issues? Yeah, I mean that's a conversation that always happens, but it happens on the early phases to make sure we can support, and that's when experience comes to play, right? Because I know what works and what doesn't work, and it's a constant collaboration with the tech team and the tech lead to make sure things, we have the tools, and the technical directors, and that we have the tools to execute on something. And if when we don't have the tools, then we do some prototyping to create the tools and make sure we can execute on something before we spend the time making it. So then by the time that we are making the final character, we're pretty sure that the thing's going to work. Is a portfolio's I guess important genre important to check the question, important when you're looking at hiring, for example, sci-fi, applying for a fantasy type game studio? Yes, that is definitely important, but more so to know if the artists like the subject, you know, because you can definitely look at the skills and kind of know that the person have what it takes. But in terms of like a fantasy project, for example, it's the artists need to have a good, have to like that, because you're going to be doing that for years and whatnot, and you need to have the kind of experience that comes with it. So sci-fi is kind of a different set of skills than fantasy. There's people who do both pretty well. There's people who only do one or another, and it's more of a preference thing. But it's a different set of skills. Organic sculpting is different than high hard surface. I don't know why I was thinking high surface. Hard surface. Um, oh, that was a cool model. Hard surface. Let me turn this thing off. Screensaver. Hard surface is a kind of a different set of skills. So yes, if you want to work on a fantasy game, kind of you have to sculpt creatures and stuff, and costuming as well. Costuming is a different thing that people don't really realize, that it's uh, kind of something you have to practice. Sculpting folds and looking at the details of a costume and all that. Yes, I hired Tiago, but Tiago is a contract artist. He's not full time with the studio. So yeah, but yeah, Tiago Rios, he started working with us. He's awesome. I've been working with him for a while now. He's a good friend. Let's see. What's the best? Jackie was asking. What's the best way? And sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, but what's the best way to understand what's required to you to get seen by a studio, and how best could someone approach a studio in a professional way to inquire about work? It's a great question. Um, the best way for you to understand is just more looking at the artists that work on that studio and kind of try to break it down why they're working there and the type of work that they have, because then you can kind of try to understand for you like what it takes to get higher. And not that you have to be at that level, but you can kind of have a target and kind of aim towards that. Um, in the sense of like how to get seen, I think it's just once you start doing that type of work, you have to put yourself out there. But mainly, excuse me, but mainly if you're doing the work right, if you're making projects, putting yourself online, try to get people to see your work, and you can tag people, like tag those artists that work there, tell like that you're inspired by their work. If you're at the level and if you're ready, like people will contact you and hire you and all that. So it's just more a matter of time and putting in the effort for you to like slowly build up to what's needed. So it's it's a balance between looking at artists that work at certain studios, the type of work they're producing inside of there, like the type of games that they're making, and try to replicate that. And replicating, I don't say like one to one copying what's in the game or whatever, but maybe you find like a concept that wasn't used for the game, or a concept that kind of looks like the style that they're working on, and then you try to execute on that, and you tag those people and be like, talk about how you would like to work there, because that's another question that it kind of comes up and came up today of understanding you know what kind of work to or style to have on your portfolio. Like you should always kind of show off like the how much you appreciate the type of work, and that you like to work on places like that, because that's halfway there, right? If you want to work at Sony or at Blizzard, if you want to work for whatever game, like you need to be making the type of art that those games have. Yeah, yeah. Portfolio review was fun. I'll do another one for sure. All right, guys. Last couple questions here. It's already an hour and a half. That was kind of what I was shooting for today. If you guys missed the beginning, we talked about reference and we kind of started sketching this guy out. I'm gonna go hang out with the kids a little bit, and then probably go to the gym or something, and then come back to work more on this. Thanks, Steven. Thanks, guys. Yeah, Victor, how much time do an artist should study to be prepared for AAA studios? That's impossible to answer, honestly. But as we all know, like these things take time. If you're looking into a full time course, there's like at least 2 years. But it really depends on the level of your art skills. You may take longer, it may take less time. You know, how many tattoos do I have? I don't keep count of my tattoos anymore. It's hard to when you get like sleeves and stuff, you can't really count them. But I have both arms and both legs. Working on another leg. No skipping leg day. There's leg day today. Check out my leg. It's gonna get sexy on the stream. But yeah, I have both legs. All right, this one is almost done, and the other one is gonna be next, and then maybe the chest, and who knows, maybe the back. But I'm getting too old for this. It's too painful. All right, I'm gonna answer this one, but you may not like my answer. What advice could you give someone to stop them getting into the mindset of that copying? Oh, right, that copying from anatomy images is cheating. I know I have to copy. It just feels like I'm cheating. Why are you cheating, dude? Cheating on what? What is cheating? You're studying, trying to replicate. This is an OnlyFans. So if you want to see the rest of the leg, Justin, there'll be an OnlyFans. But But yeah, dude, cheating. Just stop that. That doesn't make any sense. Everybody uses reference. Reference is part of the job. Like you would never do any projects or work with a professional that did not use reference. So that is a very immature mindset. You didn't answer any of my questions, bro. Yo, bro, alpha male. What are your questions, dude? I didn't see any of your questions. Send me one question. I'll answer. I'll answer one question of yours before we go. What's up, CMAC? How many hours a day do you work? How many hours do you sleep? I sleep like about 6 to 7, sometimes 8 hours, and sometimes it kind of stacks up in a week that I have to take a nap or something when I'm too tired. But I try to get at least 6 hours. I don't need a lot of sleep, to be honest. But as I'm getting older, um, it's getting on me. Guys, I was you didn't answer any of my questions. Hopefully, we have another options to do this. You guys are gonna have more another opportunity, not options, but another opportunity to ask questions. And don't be sad. Don't be sad. Don't be like this one guy that disliked the video. Be like the 563 ones that liked it. So I appreciate you guys. Yeah, dude, let's chat for sure. That'll be fun. Both. Would you say personality or portfolio is more deciding factor? Both. Both. Was what's his question? See, alpha guy. I'm gonna find your question because again, I didn't see it. Jesus Christ! Oh, there it is. What are the prices for a 3D sculpt? Like, if you want to sell your model, how much you aim to get paid? Was this your question? Prices for a 3D sculpt to like make a 3D sculpt, or selling your model? That your question doesn't make sense, dude. If you want to know how much I sell statues, you can just look at how much people are selling statues. Like it ranges from a very large range of prices. But if you want to make it, it also varies. It goes from like 2,000 to 4,000 maybe. But selling is just more up to the artist. Like the Yoshimitsu, for example, I sell for 200 or something, 200, 220. So, but it can go pretty expensive. All right, guys. I think that's it. We answer alpha mate question. And sup, Uncle Jesse? Yeah, dude. Let's do a cosplay. If this looks good enough, maybe that's it. Let's print it out. You can cosplay it. All right, but we answer his question. We're good for the day. We'll do this again. I hope you guys liked it. I will. Yeah, Mac. Yeah, I know it's probably a little group of artists that just dislike all the videos. Um, and yes, and then you get addicted to buying sideshows. Yes. Yo, fuck you. Fuck off. All right, guys. I'm out of here. I'm gonna hang out with the kids and then keep working on this guy a little bit more. Today's a day off, so I'm just gonna have some fun. And thank you guys for showing up. We'll keep doing this in the future, and maybe the quality of the work will get better, like this little guy just commented on. All right, dudes. See you later. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining me.